Have you ever been called a control freak, or maybe you just feel it yourself? That intense need for things to be organized, for a plan, for everything to be just right. Well, let's get into this. Because what if that's not a personality flaw? What if it's actually a story about survival? We're going to explore how that need for control often isn't about power at all, but a deep, deep need for safety. And this is the disconnect, right? On the outside, people look at you and they see someone who's responsible, disciplined, strong, the person who's got it all together. But inside, wow, it can feel absolutely terrifying. It's this exhausting, constant state of alert where you feel so brittle, like one little thing going wrong could just shatter everything.
So let's talk about this armor we put on. We're calling it the costume of control, and that's exactly what it is. It's a costume that hides a very, very different reality underneath. And this right here, this is the heart of it. We tend to admire control. We think it's a sign of wisdom or maturity. But so often, that's not where it comes from. It's a strategy that's born out of pure terror, a deep fear of what could happen if you let your guard down, even for a moment. I love this phrase because it just nails it. You know, that perfectly organized calendar, that color-coded spreadsheet, that need to manage every little detail, it looks like high-level professionalism. But underneath it all, it can just be a really, really effective coping mechanism. It's a past trauma that learned how to put on a suit, go to work, and get things done. It's all about protection, not just a preference for being tidy. Okay, so if it's a costume, where did we learn to wear it? This is the why behind it all. That constant, present-day need for control is almost always an echo from a chaotic past. Think about it. When your nervous system grows up around things like unpredictability, emotional chaos, instability, it learns a pretty brutal lesson, and it learns it fast. Not being in control is dangerous. It learns that surprises are threats, and that inconsistency leads to getting hurt. So the only logical thing for your brain to do is to try and control everything it possibly can. It's a survival instinct.
And this becomes the program running in the background of your mind, long after the actual danger is gone. It's not even a conscious thought most of the time. It's a core belief that's been burned into your nervous system. This one little sentence is the engine driving all that anxiety, all that overplanning, all that vigilance. Now, this need for safety, it doesn't show up in the same way for everybody. It can manifest in a few really distinct, recognizable ways. So let's look at some of the different strategies we build to try and feel safe. We're going to dive into 3 common faces of control. You've got the overplanner, who tries to manage the future. Then there's the right fighter, who needs to manage the truth. And finally, the strong one, who manages everyone else's feelings. They might look totally different on the surface, but they all grow from the exact same root, just trying to feel safe in a world that feels uncertain. Okay, first up, the overplanner. If this is you, you know this isn't just about liking a neat schedule. You need it. Any small, unexpected change can feel like a huge threat because certainty is the main way you keep that giant wave of anxiety from crashing over you. Micromanaging isn't a personality quirk. It's an emotional survival tool. Next, we have the right fighter. This is when control gets intellectual. When your sense of self feels a bit shaky, being wrong can feel like you're completely falling apart. So suddenly, every disagreement, every debate feels like a high-stakes battle. You're not really defending the facts anymore. You're defending your entire identity. And being right is your shield. And then there's the strong one. This version of control is a little quieter, but it's just as intense. You try to manage your world by managing the people in it. You anticipate their needs, you solve their problems, you carry their emotional baggage. Helping isn't just something you do, it's become who you are. It's how you make sure everything and everyone stays stable. And here's the most important thing to get. Whether you're an overplanner, a right fighter, or the strong one, that strategy worked. It really did. It saved you in an earlier chapter of your life. But the very same thing that helped you survive back then can become a prison later on, boxing you out from things like intimacy, spontaneity, and just true rest.
So if we built this prison to keep ourselves safe, how on earth do we get out? That brings us to our last section here, how to move from that tight, white-knuckled grip to a place of grace. And it all starts with a huge dose of self-compassion. To even begin, we have to ask a totally different question. Instead of asking, how can I prevent every bad thing from happening? We have to start asking, what does real safety, on the inside, actually feel like? It's a total shift in perspective.
See, real safety isn't a life with no surprises. That's impossible. Real safety is about flexibility. It's trusting that you can recover when things don't go according to plan. It's about being able to adapt to what's happening instead of trying to wrestle reality into submission. It means leaving a little room for spontaneity, for trusting others, and for actually letting yourself rest. Now, this is for everyone, but especially for anyone who sees themselves as the strong one. Listen to this. Your compassion is not proven by your exhaustion. Your value is not measured by how much you can carry. You don't have to run yourself into the ground to be a good person. Just let that sink in for a second. Ultimately, this whole journey is about shifting from what we could call a defended mind to a happier, more peaceful one. The defended mind is always scanning, always asking, how do I prove myself? How do I stay safe? The happy mind learns to ask a much quieter, more curious question. What's actually here, right now? It's a move away from defense and towards just being present. And that brings us right here to this final thought. What if you gave yourself permission to believe this? That your peace, your actual well-being, can't and shouldn't depend on you perfectly controlling an uncontrollable world? What if the most healing thing you can do is realize that you're finally allowed to loosen your grip? The chaos is over. You survived, and now you can gently, slowly begin to let go.